What man in his right mind would get married in the West?
I feel like the sanctity of marriage is not respected by men or women nowadays. I
No, of
totally
course it's
agree with
not.
that. Yeah.
Of course it's not. It's destroyed. So in the West, it doesn't even make logical sense for a man to get married. Why would he? I mean, you have to be an idiot. You have to be a sick.
If you spend any time on social media, you've almost certainly encountered the name Andrew Tate. For some, he's the embodiment of unapologetic masculinity. For others, he's a controversial figure whose opinions spark outrage and debate. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Tate's words grab attention. Never more so than when he's discussing relationships. One of his most repeated and debated stances: never get married to a woman. Why does he say this, and what's the reason behind it? In this in-depth article, we're going to unpack Andrew Tate's core arguments, explore the logic behind his controversial views, and examine what makes these perspectives so compelling or infuriating to his massive audience. Imagine spending years building your empire, only to risk half of it on a single decision. Imagine the fear that the person you love today could use a legal contract to turn your life upside down tomorrow. This is a scenario that Andrew Tate paints for his audience. He argues that in today's world, marriage is less about love and more about legal and financial risk. It's a perspective that stands in sharp contrast to traditional ideas of romance and commitment. And it's exactly this bold, unfiltered take that keeps people talking and listening. But is there any truth to what Tate says? Or is it just bravado designed to shock and provoke? Let's break down his main points, see where the logic holds, and investigate whether his views are as outrageous as they first appear. Andrew Tate isn't shy about his life philosophy. He believes in working hard, staying disciplined, being self-reliant, and never letting anyone, especially the wrong woman, compromise your mission. To him, marriage represents a trap, a system that no longer serves men in the way it once did. Here's why. Tate's number one argument is simple: marriage is a bad deal for men. He points to the high divorce rates in Western countries, the prevalence of no-fault divorces, and the way courts often favor women when it comes to splitting assets, awarding alimony, and deciding child custody. He tells his audience, you work your whole life to become successful, and the second you sign that marriage contract, you're gambling half your net worth, your peace, and your future. It's a bleak picture, but it's not entirely without precedent. Statistics in many Western countries do show that women are more likely to be awarded primary custody of children and receive significant financial settlements after divorce. For men who have worked hard to acquire wealth, property, and status, the fear of losing it all in a divorce is real. Tate argues that men should protect themselves by never entering into a legal marriage. He suggests that if two people truly love each other, they don't need a government contract to prove it. Another core part of Tate's argument revolves around the shifting landscape of gender roles and expectations. In his view, the traditional social contract of marriage, where the man provides and the woman nurtures, has broken down. Modern women, he says, are encouraged to be independent, pursue their own careers, and seek fulfillment outside of marriage and motherhood. He claims this shift has created a mismatch. Men are still expected to provide and protect, but are no longer rewarded with loyalty or support. He points out, women today want the benefits of traditional relationships without the responsibilities. They want a man who provides, protects, and leads, but they don't want to submit or support him in return. Whether or not you agree with this assessment, there's no question that societal expectations around marriage and gender roles have evolved. For some, this is a sign of progress. For others, it's a sign that the institution of marriage no longer functions as intended. Tate also speaks often about the importance of masculine identity, being strong, independent, and in control of your own destiny. He sees marriage as a threat to these principles. In his view, too many men lose themselves in relationships, becoming subservient, losing their edge, and sacrificing their ambitions to keep their partner happy. The second a man puts a ring on her finger, he starts living for her, not himself. That's the beginning of the end for most men. He encourages his followers to focus on self-improvement, purpose, and personal growth rather than tying their self-worth to a relationship or a spouse. This message resonates strongly with young men who feel lost or disillusioned in today's world. A controversial but central part of Tate's worldview is the concept of hypergamy, the idea that women are naturally wired to seek out the best possible mate and will always trade up if given the chance. He claims that In the modern dating market, social media and dating apps have given women more options than ever before, making it difficult for men to maintain exclusivity and loyalty in relationships. Tate warns, if you're not her best option, she'll leave, and marriage won't stop her. He suggests that rather than tying themselves down, men should focus on becoming the best version of themselves, knowing that loyalty can't be guaranteed by a piece of paper. Finally, Tate argues that marriage is an outdated institution that made sense in a different era. He points out that historically, marriage was about survival, alliance, and family stability, things that are less relevant in a world where individuals can support themselves and live independently. He challenges the idea that marriage is necessary for happiness or fulfillment, arguing that men can find meaning, companionship, and satisfaction without ever walking down the aisle. So why do so many people listen to Andrew Tate? Even if they don't agree with him, the answer lies in his delivery. Tate speaks with unshakable confidence. He presents his arguments without apology or hesitation. For young men who feel uncertain or overlooked in a world of shifting norms, Tate's certainty is magnetic. He offers a sense of clarity, purpose, and brotherhood to those who feel adrift. He also taps into real fears and frustrations. Many men have seen friends or family members go through painful divorces, lose custody of their children, or struggle with financial ruin after a breakup. Whether or not Tate's advice is the right path, it's not hard to see why it resonates. Of course, Tate's perspective is not without its critics. Many argue that his view of women in marriage is reductive, based on worst-case scenarios rather than the reality of most relationships. Here are some of the most common counterarguments. Not all marriages end in divorce. While divorce rates are high, many couples stay together and build successful, loving partnerships. Marriage can provide stability and support. For many, marriage is a source of strength, companionship, and emotional security. Modern relationships can be based on equality. Not all women seek to exploit men, and many couples work together as partners, sharing responsibilities and successes. Avoiding marriage out of fear can be limiting. Some argue that refusing to commit prevents people from experiencing the joys and growth that come from deep, long-term relationships. At the end of the day, Andrew Tate's advice is just one perspective, albeit a loud and influential one. His message is tailored to a specific audience. Men who feel that the odds are stacked against them, who worry about losing their independence, and who want to protect themselves from risk. But that doesn't mean his way is the only way. Marriage, like any major life decision, is deeply personal. It's shaped by your values, your goals, your experiences, and your vision for your future. For some, the risks of marriage are outweighed by the rewards. For others, Tate's warnings hit too close to home to ignore. Even if you disagree with Andrew Tate's conclusions, there's value in his message. He encourages men to focus on self-improvement, to protect their interests, and to be wary of making life-altering decisions without understanding the consequences. He challenges his audience to think critically about their choices, to avoid complacency, and to never assume that the world owes them anything. These are lessons that can be applied in many areas of life, not just relationships. Andrew Tate's stance against marriage is provocative, polarizing, and undeniably popular. He's tapped into deep anxieties about love, commitment, and the changing rules of society. Whether you see him as a truth teller or a troublemaker, there's no denying that his message forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about what we want from our relationships, our partners, and our futures. Should you never get married, as Tate says? Only you can answer that. But by understanding the reasoning behind his words, you're better equipped to make choices that are right for you, whatever they may be.